Oh crap, it's actually starting. Key close door. Okay. Let's see if this is going to work. The internet can totally see you now. Okay, well, it looks like we started. We have officially 0 people. How do you feel about this?
I feel like it's kind of pointless talking without 0 people listening.
Well,
but
I don't know. We usually talk with 0 people listening, and then we upload it later.
Yeah, but then there's like, we actually have something to talk about.
We've got stuff to talk about.
Do we? Do we really?
I don't know. How's your day?
Well, I'm here, so.
so not good, I assume. I'm wondering, because
right.
I'm just checking. Oh, so there is a stream, and we have people rolling in.
Do we?
Oh, look, people are rolling in. Well, that's a surprise.
It's I am surprised. I thought we'd be by ourselves for the next hour.
Okay, so welcome to, what is this? The Rational Podcast 7.
I would say the Rational live stream test number 1.
I have a feeling this could go terribly.
Yeah,
I hope it goes terribly.
Well, live and learn. We'll find out how it goes.
Considering this, life is essentially just stumbling from one failure to the next. So, as long as I keep my failures going, I won't die.
I think the goal is to make each failure slightly less of a failure than the previous one. So at least you're making progress. Because otherwise, you're just banging into walls for your entire life.
So it's like a Google car.
Yeah, essentially.
Do you see the dramas they were having with the Google car?
No.
It was so they'd found that if somebody pretended to swerve into it, it would overcorrect and basically just drive off the road and kill everyone.
Oh, excellent. So trolls could basically just kill people at will.
Well, if you were listening to the SJWs, that's probably what they're saying already.
So if you see someone, with a Trump bumper sticker on their car, and you just scream fascist at them whilst you try and make them swerve off the road. That's a much more efficient way of dealing with the alt-right.
Dealing with the alt-right. So,
anyone with a slightly conservative viewpoint.
So what you do is you contact Elon Musk and you go, listen, buddy, no, you got to pair it with Google, make a bunch of Tesla cars. No, conservative people ain't going to drive Tesla cars. but
even better, SJWs.
Though I guess they label everybody. Though I guess it seems that everybody's getting labeled as conservative even when they're not. So you give it to a bunch of centrists who are like, oh, look at this Tesla car, nice for the environment, and then bang.
Okay, so the ultra conservatives aren't going to buy a Tesla car. The lefties aren't going to be able to afford a Tesla car because they don't have real jobs. And the centrists who actually
show some respect. Gender studies is a very, very profitable fucking career.
Well, it is these days on the internet when you can just make heaps of Patreon dollars for.
I don't know whether any of them are actually that successful.
Probably not.
But I guess success is relative, considering how much of a like horrific failure our channel is. It's yeah, it's we're going fine.
Well, like Anita Sarkeesian, there's at least one that we know of who actually made money from it. So
I don't. Is she still making money though? I thought she.
I don't think she's making money now. She could be. I mean, I know she tried at least a couple of times, but the first time it worked. So
yeah, because I know the first and second time it worked, but I have a feeling it kind of fell off. But we actually have 10 people watching.
Oh, excellent!
So we can actually probably start getting into the real business,
some actual content.
What's funny is the amount of planning that has gone into this is exactly 0. I couldn't work out how to set the stream up, so I just pressed go, and then it started. So
and now we're here.
And now we're here. This sounds like my conception. My parents just like, oh well. Right.
Well, we're already here, so we might as well.
We might as well follow this thing through.
I love how open you are about talking about your own conception. That's what the people signed on for.
So, my parents were very drunk, and Barry White was playing. Okay, so anyway, with the channel stuff, hello everybody. I want to thank everybody for being, you know, we've had people be quite supportive with the fact that we have been struggling to get content out. I have been failing at science for this entire time. My publication, I've got a publication I'm trying to get through, and it's been rejected 7 times.
7 times?
7, yeah. Yeah, it's not going good.
Your standards of journals is too high. You got to lowball the journals.
I would be able to publish easy if I just sent it to pay to publish journals, which I actually have considered, which is not a good idea.
Is that real science though?
Nothing's real science in a postmodernist world.
Well, when this is a good topic point actually. This one, like the bias in publications that results. I know we talked about this a little bit before, but the bias that results due to publications, essentially kind of cherry picking what they publish, what they put out there. Whereas,
well, because the thing to remember is the peer reviewing system is designed to be removed from human bias, which is fine. But the issue is when say you have a blind peer reviewing system, so they don't send a publication to a reviewer and go, "Oh, this is John Hathaway's publication." There's no name on it, and you don't know the reviewer either. Now, it sounds like a good system in essence because it removes that personal bias. There's a couple of dramas with that, but the main one I find is that the editors aren't. The editors know who you are.
yeah,
The editors know who the reviewers are. The editors know everything, and the editors hold the power to reject a paper. It's not the reviewers who reject a paper. Like, a reviewer can suggest rejection, but a reviewer can't just reject a paper. The reviewers don't have that power. It's the editor. So what you get is specific journals where, like, there's a journal right now. One of the things I've taken a cursory interest in is nutrition, and one of the things I've been hearing a lot about is the ketogenic diet, because I've been listening to a bit of Joe Rogan and I've heard him say some really questionable stuff. But there's a journal which publishes it, which is really big on it, which is the British Journal of Sports Medicine, and the editor who runs that is super pro keto. He's unbelievably pro keto. So if I published a paper that was anti keto and I sent that to that journal, he would almost immediately just reject it. I don't imagine he would even send it out for review. And if he sent it out for review, he would pick reviewers who are super pro keto and would just do everything they can to give him a justification to reject it. It's actually it's a problem in the system, because you've created this system which is supposed to be resistant to bias, but it's managed by a person who, I've made this point so many times, which is I could get published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tomorrow. I could do it right now. I just get a piece of paper, I get a crayon, and I write on it, "Keto is good." And then I post it to him. I don't even scan it to him. I screw it into a ball, I put it in a letter, and I send it to their head office, and he'd open it and be like, editor's choice, publicate. It's really weird to have a system so specifically designed to eliminate bias and leaving this giant bias hole in it.
So what you're saying is that each selective journal is basically just a representation of the editor's bias. It's just their personal selection.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Which actually makes me really, really sad to think about.
I suppose the only upside to that fact is that there are so many journals that you can just keep pushing it to different journals, and there's going to be a lot of different perspectives that you can push it to. But
well, yeah, because essentially every paper is going to get published at some point. It's really just a matter of time. Like, you can send it because as much as 7 rejections may sound really bad, and it's not great, it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
And we've had bad luck with a couple of times. It's ran into people who just feel strongly against the position that it propagates, which then you just get really hard line reviews, and then editors as well. It's just kind of one of the I remember when we had a discussion ages ago about profit motives in science. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that it was something you said the other week, which was when you said that businesses can only be trusted to do one thing, which is maximize profits. And that a journal at the end of the day is business. Like there are some which are non-for-profit, but at the end of the day, a good portion of them are, a huge portion of them are profit-based. So what we get, and even if they're non-for-profit, they have to maximize readership.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they look at papers and go, okay, well, how much readership is this going to get? How much readership is this going to get? It goes on. And then they ultimately make their decision if they're going to publish a paper based on that. So what I've been told they do is they have a cost-benefit analysis of how much work is it going to take to get this paper published. So say you get mine, and it was sent back, and it had 3 reviewers, and one of the reviewers liked it. One of them felt middlingly and had quite a few comments that were helpful, and then the third one didn't like it and had loads of comments. You look at that as an editor, and you can go, yeah, I can get this published. Like we can resolve this. But what the editor then has to do is mediate a back and forth, and mediating that back and forth is time consuming. And if they look at the paper and go, it's not going to get that much readership, they'll just reject it. It's just because it's just not worth it to them.
So you like you were saying before that the reviewers don't have that much control, but really they indirectly they do, because they will affect that cost benefit analysis that the editor is going to go through, right?
Yeah.
So if you're
it's true. It's definitely true that because if someone's because you can't. It's difficult to publish a paper if one of the reviewers doesn't essentially concede that they accept your justification.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to agree with you, but they should understand your reasoning and be able to say, well, I don't agree, but I understand your reasoning and it's evidence-based, so put it out there. And
they've got to see some value in the paper.
Yeah. So the reviewers do, obviously the reviewers do have power. But they just don't have. I think the power of editors is really underrated. Okay, which makes it really weird because you can look at certain journals and you can see this when you look at the lots of stuff they've published. You can see there's usually a trend. There's not many journals that go really side to side and all over the shop. They usually are following certain trends. There are times when you kind of don't see that. There are certain journals which have, for example, multiple editors. I know a couple of journals. One of the ones I've sent mine to now has, I think, 30 editors.
Okay.
So there we go. We're back. Okay.
So we temporarily lost the stream there.
Okay, we're back. We temporarily lost the stream for some. Science is trying to take us down. Science is trying to stop us.
They're trying to silence us.
I think we put 4chan in charge of science. Look. Let's be real. Their battle with Shia LaBeouf showed me their true resourcefulness.
Resourcefulness is one thing, but motive is another thing. What are they going to do with that with the power to edit science?
Fix the world. Look, think of all the good 4chan could do.
Have
you recently been on 4chan?
I go on 4chan all the time. It's hilarious and disturbing.
4chan's great.
4chan, yeah. I've never once posted on 4chan. I'm far too afraid to. But it's a great way to see different sides of the internet.
You know what I'm gonna do for a second? I'm going to look in the chat and see what's going on. H37, hello. We have not disappointed him with a podcast yet, apparently.
Oh, really? All right. I'm glad. I'm glad somebody enjoys.
I feel like
our ramblings.
I feel like he's the only person.
Well, if we can make one person happy, then it's been worth it. Because we talk shit anyway, so we might as well talk shit and record it.
Yeah, that's a good point. But then I think, it's a good point. But I don't give a shit about one person. Fuck the people.
No, take that back. We need
We need people to love us.
we need
No.
our fans.
No, I do.
We know we really appreciate everyone listening.
Yeah. 11 people.
11. Hey, I thought it would just be me and you just talking crap to each other with 0 people listening. So 11's brilliant.
Robert Carter, hello. Spooky Bed Hair, hello. Ooh, spooky Bed Hair.
Spooky Bed Hair.
That's a name.
One thing that I really like about YouTube is the creative names.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love all the Alex Jones based ones. They're hilarious.
Humongous is my favorite.
Humongous. Pure Carbon, Life is a Choice, I guess.
Arguably, life. I mean,
life
is a choice.
If I tie you to a chair and force feed you, life no longer becomes a choice for you, though, because you don't have the means to kill yourself. Life is only a choice if you have the means to kill yourself.
Well, firstly, you're gonna have life at some point without your choice, without your decision being involved. So you can choose how long it lasts, I guess, unless somebody intervenes and ties you to a chair and then force feeds you nutrients through an IV.
Force feeds nutrients.
But you can, yeah. That's actually interesting point on morality and religion. Is no one gets to choose who they're born into. So where's free will?
Well,
where's your free will, God?
Where's your free will, God? I actually wonder that. Because does God have free will?
All right. Complete tangent.
We haven't talked about religion in a long time, so this will probably be fun.
No, I've got rants to get off my chest.
Do it.
About
Do it.
So, what abortion? Where do you stand on abortion?
I think all babies should be aborted.
just nullify the human race.
You know what? I'm actually really uncomfortable with the topic of abortion because I don't feel positively about it, but I also wouldn't restrict it.
I think abortion is one of the toughest. If anyone's being honest with themselves, I think abortion is one of the toughest issues to actually put a decision on or parameters on, because it is such a grey zone. For me, the arguments against abortion are largely religious, and that becomes that's basically because if you have to pinpoint at which point it becomes immoral to kill a baby, because essentially I'm not gonna say you're not killing a baby. Once the baby's conceived, you know, whatever you happen to label it at that point, you know, can vary, but as it develops, it's developing into a baby, right? And what's the latest term abortion that they allow?
You can get abortions as late as in the 3rd trimester. It depends where you are. In Australia, it varies all over. Western Australia, for example, is one of the most restrictive.
Yeah. I
believe the limit it might be 12 weeks. I'm not sure. It might be 16. And in other places in Australia, it goes as far as 20, 21, I think. I'd have to look it up.
Let's take it to the highest point. Let's say the 3rd trimester, right? So if you can abort a baby in the 3rd trimester, it's pretty much a baby at that point. But is it like to what degree is it a human being? To what degree does it have sentience? Does it have suffering? Those are the factors that if you don't believe in the soul, if you don't believe the baby has a soul, which I don't.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It's
big shock. Jay doesn't believe in souls.
Just watch the mind body dualism video.
Oh God.
But yeah, unless you believe in a soul, then essentially it is a developing baby with very limited neuro physiology, essentially zero sentience and self-awareness. And at which point do you say, is it immoral then to kill that baby? And I'm not going to say you're not killing a baby at that point, because you are killing a baby, but is it immoral at that point? That's where the gray area becomes. It's at what point in a developing child's life does it become immoral?
Here's the thing, though. This is one of the reasons why I'm uncomfortable with it, because I see a merit in both sides. In that, if the fetus or the baby, however you want to call it, which typically for me, the way I do it is I would probably restrict abortions around the time that neurological function starts. Higher neurological function, so that of the frontal cortex, which I believe is 20 weeks in. So it's usually about where the limits are now. But the fact of the matter is, even if it's a person, it doesn't have the rights to someone else's body. And that's where the argument from abortion comes in. It's not necessarily I think most people would be fine with abortion if you could remove it at any point and it left the body and then just continued growing and became a person.
How is that abortion at that point?
It's just terminating a pregnancy.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm saying. It's terminating the pregnancy. That the fetus dying is really kind of a side effect in a way, because you're doing it to terminate your pregnancy. Now, it's kind of semantic, and I'm going off the fly here, so maybe I'll flip around as I think more into it. But my point is that even if it is a person, it doesn't necessarily have a right to that other person's body. Now, when I think about that, would I allow parents to not feed? Would I allow a mother to not feed her child because it doesn't have a right to her breast milk? I don't feel like I would.
But that's neglect. So
then removing something from your womb so that it dies is a pretty severe case of neglect. If we're going to go there.
Okay, so but here's the point. What is the purpose of abortion? You say it's to terminate the pregnancy, but it's
the objective of abortion isn't to kill the child. No,
are you sure about that?
No one's going, oh man, you know what? I wouldn't mind having a baby. I just really want to kill this child.
No, some people, obviously, people who get abortion usually aren't intending to become pregnant when they get the abortion in most cases, right? So, the fact is that when you become pregnant, it's not just the fact that you have to grow the baby and give birth to it. You also then have to take care of the baby or give it away to adoption. So you've got to deal with then the responsibilities relating to that child at that point. So abortion is also removing that responsibility.
Yeah,
it's not just about get the baby out of me. I don't want to carry it anymore. It's removing this burden essentially from someone's life as well.
You're right. Benjamin Chuchek, something like that. There is a difference between breastfeeding and being inside of a room. Yes, there is.
Breastfeeding and what?
He said there is a difference between breastfeeding and being inside of the womb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm really just trying to approach this problem from different ways to see if I can find a way to kind of decipher it, because I really don't know. I wouldn't restrict it. I know I definitely wouldn't restrict it, but I'm not happy about it. But one thing that is worth bearing in mind is that the vast majority, it's under 5%. I think it's even way smaller than that. A really small percentage of abortions actually occur late term. People typically don't go, oh, I'm pregnant, ride this pregnancy out real deep, and then go, nah, I'm not gonna do it now. It's usually very early stuff. So
yeah,
in that sense, if you're what am I trying to say? Why did I just blank? I'm trying to keep a left eye on the chat.
I think you were trying to say that if you're going to get an abortion early term, then there's not really much of a moral conundrum.
Well, because when it's a zygote, which it's essentially just a sperm and an egg cell put together, which I don't really see much strength in the argument of it will ultimately become a child, because then kind of every time you have sex and use contraception, you're essentially doing the same.
Well,
you're doing a very similar thing.
In that same reasoning, you're ultimately going to die. So what's the point in your life?
What?
You're using the same. If it's going to be this, if it's going to be X, then we should treat it like X now. Doesn't make any sense, because you're going to be dead. So should I treat you like you're dead now?
Yes.
It completely backfires when you use that logic.
I agree. No, I'm talking over you now because Brenda Carter has something incredible to say.
Okay.
Gingers don't have souls.
Gingers don't have souls. So we can abort ginger babies.
Wow. We actually just moved forward.
All right. So, point in case, if we can do a DNA test, and if it's a over 90% chance that the baby's going to be ginger, then free to abort at any stage.
This is actually incredible. I'm actually, you know what? We can probably end the stream now. I think we've resolved the problem.
We've made we've made some progress. What are you looking up there?
I'm just getting something for you, man. It's fine. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go.
What is this?
It's a Jew. Why did I look up Jew baby? I meant to say ginger baby.
I'm more concerned. I'm more concerned about the fact that you chose to select that picture anyway. So now
I don't even know what I was doing.
Get rid of the picture. Get rid of the picture.
No, I love this picture. Oh, you know what? Here you go. Here you go. I got a solution. I got a solution. It's
Okay,
fine.
now everybody's gonna think we're anti-Semitic.
It's a ginger Jew baby.
Why have you got Jew babies up? I don't understand.
I'm making myself cough from laughing.
We're not Nazis, I swear to God.
The geile
I
Schnitzel
swear, to
Scheiße
God,
Gnade.
I swear to the gods that I don't believe in that we're not Nazis.
Oh my God.
Why? The channel's gonna get shut down now.
So one of the comments I just saw is a mother is basically a slave to the child. Will abortion opponents support caring for all of the mother's needs up to delivery and the child for the rest of its life?
It's a good point. I completely agree with that. I mean, the mother obviously makes decisions which result in the pregnancy. Not all the time, obviously, in rape cases and stuff. So there's a degree. I believe in a degree of responsibility on the mother. I don't believe that degree of responsibility should result in that mother having to go through a full-term pregnancy and care for a child for 18 years because the contraception didn't work for or whatever reason, or they were just careless at a young age.
I guess you could put it up for adoption as soon as you're born.
I don't think adoption is a good solution in any circumstance. Most children who are adopted don't turn out to be as productive as people with strong, caring families. And I'm like,
I wonder what studies exist on that. There must be some.
I think it obviously depends greatly on the child's upbringing. Like if you get adopted into a caring family, all well and good. If you get adopted into a home for children,
Charles Manson's house.
Yeah, like if you're in an orphanage for the vast majority of your younger years, then it has a massive impact. And I know that there's quite a few states that support that one. But
I guess existing and having no one desire you to exist probably would have some profound effects on your psychology.
I think it's a lot more to do with how much nurturing you get. Because let's face it, if you're growing up in a home full of children with no loving, caring parents to focus specifically on you, then you're going to have struggles. You're going to have psychological, developmental struggles. There's just no two ways about it. And the unfortunate thing is that most kids don't get adopted into loving, caring families. If they did,
it just makes me think of that South Park episode with the agnostics that adopt them.
Let's try hypothetical, because I kind of want to narrow down the issues on this one.
Okay.
If in a world where 100% of unwanted children get adopted into a perfectly loving family, is abortion then still ethical? So the question is the problem about the upbringing of the child?
So there's still an ethical issue in say a condom breaks and now a woman doesn't want to go through pregnancy. You're still forcing this person to go through a 9-month period of pregnancy, and also something that will have profound physiological effects on their body for a lasting period of time. So that problem, because that still seems to exist in terms of, I'm trying to think this through. I wonder how the chat's going to go with this.
I'd be genuinely interested to see where people fall.
The chat seem to be saying yes.
It is ethical to abort the child.
I think so. No. Wait, what did you?
I can't remember exactly what my wording was.
I can't remember. Your, God damn it! But because it definitely minimizes some of the factor, I guess, because you're guaranteeing if.
Let's make it slightly clearer. If medical science minimizes the damage and the strain on the mother, so the health risks are minimized. She can return to pretty much optimal health almost immediately after the birth, and the baby is guaranteed to get adopted into a loving family. Is it then ethical to abort a baby? Because I feel like there is a degree of responsibility that people have to take for getting pregnant. Obviously, like I'm excluding cases like rape and things like that. But
well, someone just made that point. H37 rape babies shouldn't be forced to exist.
No, I agree with that. I mean what a horrible torture to a woman that's already gone through that much trauma that they've got to carry a baby for 9 months.
That's what she gets for wearing a short skirt. Jeez.
Jesus.
I'm really uncomfortable.
It's a touchy subject.
I'm not uncomfortable emotionally. I'm just uncomfortable because I saw a comment in the chat by Keen Kong 61. It's a balance between the rights of two humans. Up to viability, mom wins. That would be my.
I think
position.
that's a pretty good way to sum it up.
I do. Because this is the point I was making at the start. I don't think there's a right or wrong side in this. I think there's a side that's more right and a side that's not as right. But both sides, unless they're making religious based arguments, have points I can relate to.
Yeah.
But it's like what we should talk about next.
What's that?
Fucking veganism, because I have a similar problem with that. With the ethics around eating meat, it becomes a balance.
Okay, let's trade off onto that in a second.
No,
because for abortion, I think maybe like obviously a case by case basis is probably what we should be going on. Do you think we should have criteria that needs to be met for a person to have abortion? I'm pretty sure that already exists anyway. To a degree.
Depends what you mean by criteria, because for example, over the United States, it's state bound. I forget which state it is, but there is a state in the USA where before you can abort a fetus, you have to look at an ultrasound of it and hear its heartbeat.
That's retarded.
Yeah, I forget which state it is.
That's like just appealing to someone's emotion to say, "Do you really want to abort this child?"
Maybe someone
look at these cute little baby pictures of what it could come out to be.
Yeah, I thought it was Texas, but
that's just retarded.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's not even. I know there's definitely a state where you have to look at an ultrasound before. Though I believe there's one. I wouldn't quote me on it. I'd look it up first, but where you have to listen to a heartbeat too.
Yeah, that's a weird.
Like that's not what I don't know what requirement that builds. I don't know what that gains.
It's basically saying, do you have the heart to kill this child?
Chaosism makes good point. Should environmental impacts factor into this overpopulation and all?
It's something I consider a lot. I think the individual suffering or potential suffering of the child trumps the potential environmental impacts of that person. But for sure, overpopulation is a massive issue, and I don't think there's any.
I think people in general, because I don't really think the amount of abortions that happen are going to be at such mass that policies based on that will solve overpopulation or even have significant impacts on it.
No, I agree.
I think primary factors is just going to be encouraging people to have 1 or 2 kids instead of 3 and over.
Yeah.
Because provided you have 1 or 2 kids, you're not increasing Earth's population.
Well,
you're maintaining or reducing it.
Most of the contributing countries, which are contributing heavily to overpopulation, are usually third world countries where contraception isn't as regular. And
you know what's funny? People in the chat just started making that point.
There we go. Great minds think alike.
Well, abortion is fantastic for the environment purely because each human who exists has such a large impact on the environment over the course of their entire life that
just bringing that point back to the abortion. Obviously, people in third world countries where the population is the concern aren't going to have access to abortion. So abortion for population control makes essentially 0 sense in overall terms.
right.
Unless you can get clean abortion clinics into third world countries.
Yeah, you can.
At which point,
here's what you do. Here's what you do. You get 4chan.
No, it's just obsessed with 4chan.
You just fly over them with a crate full of coat hangers and just dump it all over the country.
or maybe just hear me out. Instead of coat hangers, you drop condoms. How about that?
No, because
then you stop AIDS as well and STDs.
Yeah, but AIDS will kill people and then reduce the impact on
The population.
population.
The problem is that AIDS doesn't kill people fast enough, so they can still have babies with AIDS.
And they can have AIDS babies.
They have AIDS babies.
My God, you just blew this thing wide open.
Do you want to keep going with abortion, or do you want to go to veganism?
I'm going to look at the chat, actually. Let's see what the chat's saying. If anything, before 20 weeks, states should allow abortion under federal law, and anything higher should be decided by the state, with exceptions of rape, death, of the mother, incest, and birth abnormalities. Yep, I would be fine with that.
I agree
20
with that.
weeks. Whenever I've been asked about my official position on it, it has usually been allow abortion until a period of neurological viability or neurological activity. I don't go as far as viability. Because viability is would allow for some pretty crazy late term abortions.
What do you mean by viability? By neurological viability?
But neurological viability probably isn't the correct word, but I mean by neurological activity, and so essentially when you have brain activity, because neurological activity, you have to be really careful with how you preface it, because you can actually in very early fetuses you can evoke neurological responses, but the issue is the neurological activity travels up the fetus but doesn't actually go anywhere. So it doesn't have a central point. So it's essentially when the brain starts receiving. And when the brain starts receiving, usually is about 22 weeks.
Okay.
And that's generally where I would throw my line in the sand.
Yep. I can.
Shocking Fire makes a good point. Most underdeveloped countries are deeply religious, so just having abortion clinics isn't enough. Maybe they're more open to contraceptions.
Yeah, contraception just makes in every way makes more sense.
So here's what you do: you use chemtrails, and you sterilize the entire population.
Just reroute all of America's air traffic over the these underdeveloped countries. And
so it's like
the contrails that are already coming out, which are apparently full of chemicals, will sterilize them.
Wait. so you route all flights over them. So it's like, okay, so from your flight from Los Angeles to New York, we'll be taking a detour over India. Your flight is now 28 hours. Oh.
But how else are you going to get? How else are we going to get the chemtrails over there? You can't just fly.
Good nuke 'em. Trump's got access to the nukes now, so once he's done
you have to buy out all of the Asian airlines. America has to buy out all of the Asian airlines and then fit those airplanes with chemtrail machines, whatever they are, the chemtrail pumps. And then then there's enough air traffic over India and most Asian countries that goes to pretty much every part of the world. There you go.
Here's the thing, though.
Problem solved. We just sterilized the entire planet.
Well, overpopulation wouldn't be a problem then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We just fixed the problem.
Yeah,
with chemtrails.
We've also made the entire human species extinct.
Well, that's another problem then.
That's the price of doing business.
Should we move on?
Yep, let's move on. Use the Illuminati planes for your chemtrails. Next topic, drug legalization versus big pharma. Nuke equals mass abortion. Turn the frogs gay. Oh.
This is live streaming is much better. I love
live streaming is much better because I get to see incredible 18 fans.
I'm enjoying the comments.
Yeah, I am too, actually.
Um,
It's making me much less efficient at speaking because I find myself just reading them.
Should we go with their suggestions, or do you want to go? Do you want, I know because I know you want to talk about veganism for some reason.
I do want to talk about veganism, but I also do like... drug legalization is kind of a fast one for me, honestly.
Okay, do you want to hit that one?
Well, drug legalization is, I don't give a fuck what people do. So, whatever, just have drugs.
Okay, I've got certain problems with it. For instance, highly addictive and damaging drugs like meth and ice. Ice is meth, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not down with the lingo.
Hey.
Straight edge man.
I smoked marijuana once. I remember telling one of the we had this guy come over to do he was doing his master's by research, and he was a pretty big stoner, and we were talking about drugs, and I was like, I did weed once, and he was like, oh yeah, and I was like, so I was at school, and one of my friends brought in this weed, and he got it in some tin foil and set it on fire, and then we got a hose and held it over it and inhaled. And he just looks at me and goes, "You didn't fucking smoke weed." I was like, it was honestly, I look, and I remember being so paranoid after. I'm just like, "Oh man, I smoke weed. Everybody knows." But now that I look back at it, I didn't. It's like fucking lighting a cigarette and then just sitting over it and breathing in the secondhand smoke. Like, oh yeah, I get nicotine.
I'm pretty sure you've got to hold it in your lungs as well. Like my inexperience with drugs is showing right now because I've never once smoked weed. The thing is, like, I've got mates who do it all the time, but I have zero problems with marijuana. I have zero problems with.
Well, it's kind of hard to have a problem with marijuana when you really think it through. It doesn't.
Not for some people.
Well, I've not really understood. I've heard that because the problem is it doesn't really do significant harm to the body. It's not.
Here's the thing.
If we live in a society where you accept alcohol and cigarettes, it doesn't make sense to reject marijuana.
I've got mixed feelings about this one because, like, I've got no problems with people smoking marijuana. I don't think there's like I'd rather hang out with someone who smokes weed than someone who smokes cigarettes.
Sorry, I actually think we just dropped out for a second, so we just got back. So
well,
I don't think you dropped out for long. It's just a little drop. So
people might, yeah. Sorry about the technical issues. This is the first time we've tried the live stream, so hopefully we can hash out any of these problems in future ones. But we'll see how we go.
Also, one point that people are making in the comments, which I actually think is a point to make, is that don't hold smoke in, for fuck's sake. The chemical hits the blood instantly. No need to hold in. Does lung damage, especially bongs. So
there you go.
Maybe I did marijuana's right. But one of the main drug problems we do have is prescription drugs. Like prescription drugs, especially in the USA, is a huge problem. A huge amount of people are on, I forgot the percentage, it's something ridiculous, are on constant prescription drugs for pain or for other things. Opioids and all that jazz.
I haven't looked into this, but I think there is a significant difference between the regulation of pharmaceuticals in America versus the UK or Australia or Canada and places like that. Like I was like shocked when I saw like just a few drug adverts on YouTube for drugs in America, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I'd never. We don't get drugs advertised in Australia. We get like
ask your doctor about this today.
You might get like the most generic painkillers. It's just like different brands of painkillers. This one's better than this one. It's just that's basically it. There's no. Do you suffer X? Then ask your doctor about this particular drug. There's none of that crap, and it was almost horrifying to me to see these adverts for drugs, because really, like, if you've got problems, if you've got general health problems, most of the time they can be fixed without pharmaceutical intervention. If they can't, if nothing else fixes your problem and you've got to take drugs, then that sucks. And thankfully we have the medical science to deal with that. But it seems to me like America is just like first and final solution is medicate.
Well, because one of the things that is definitely the case is that lifestyle interventions are extremely underutilized.
Yeah, which is something they're pushing for a lot here in Australia, which I'm happy about. But even still, like it's still.
One of my friends went to the doctor and said he's been suffering with. He's been having a difficult time getting motivation and getting work done and everything like that. And the doctor prescribed him, I think, Adderall.
Really?
Before asking him about how much he sleeps or what kind of exercise or nutrition he does.
Just straight up Adderall.
Straight up. It was Adderall or modafinil or something. It's something. The one that students take, the one that's nicknamed the study drug. I don't know shit about it. I just know the first thing I asked him was how much sleep are you getting? And he goes, "Oh, I get enough sleep." And it's like, okay, how much is enough? He goes, "Oh, I get usually 6 hours a night." I'm like,
No.
6 hours a night is not near your recommendation, like what you likely should be getting. It's probably close to somewhere to 7.5 to 9 even.
Yeah.
It's crazy that that's not the first thing this doctor went to.
First thing I'd be is the most basic things. What are you eating? Are you exercising? Are you stressed? Like really simple stuff. But I think it's the medical industry has been kind of pushed in that direction for a long time. It's been really pushed towards.
Well, it's like you said, you can't trust a company. You can't trust a company to do. Well, the only thing you can trust a company to do is to maximize profits.
Yeah, and when you make the pharmaceutical industry, a massive money making machine because of lack of government regulation, then I guess it's only natural that you're going to have drugs pushed on people. But I honestly I don't know enough about the regulations in America or even Australia to say much about that. But back onto things like the legalization of recreational drugs, things like that. Marijuana, 100% should be legalized. I've got no reasons. I want to go back to the story I was going to bring up before, actually, because this is a lot of people say alcohol is worse than marijuana, and in certain aspects I agree. But I know at least 4 or 5 people in my life I've met who have serious psychological issues likely because of marijuana. Can't say exactly for certain because of marijuana, but all of them themselves attributed it to the marijuana use. Schizophrenia and anxiety disorders.
I would be careful taking those lines of reasoning because there's a lot of instances of people ascribing various problems due to their vaccines. It doesn't necessarily imply that.
Hence why I said likely.
How did you determine likelihood?
Well, this is what they told me, and the common factor for all of them was the fact that they were smoking shit. I'm talking like a lot of weed, like a little more than general recreational use. I'm talking lots, pretty much daily use, at a young age as well. Which basically, if you do, I mean, realistically, if you do that with anything, if I drank cordial for fucking like 5 times a day.
The thing is, if we're basing our laws exclusively off harm. So I think I saw in the chat someone a while back saying the argument of if we accept smoking and alcohol, then it doesn't make sense to restrict our marijuana is a fallacy. And I think it's only a fallacy provided on how I mean it. And what I mean is if we're restricting it based on harm and we have a society which the law allows for certain things, and it goes so essentially because we allow, if we're going to maximize freedom, you would just constantly have martial law and everybody fucking restricted to their houses. Maybe might increase suicides.
Anarchism.
No, it is the opposite to anarchism. Martial law, the government's literally walking around the street with guns, like stay in your house, stay safe, don't do drugs.
What did you say? You said ultimate freedoms or no freedoms?
No, that's no freedoms.
Okay.
But then obviously what we do is we allow some degrees of freedom, obviously, for liberty. And if the argument to restrict marijuana is based off harm, then at least in my mind, it doesn't make a great deal of sense to allow other recreational things that do similar or more harm. Now, I haven't really sat and thought about the logical structure of the way that goes through, but maybe someone will.
Well, I think the problem is that I would base my restrictions on essentially on how addictive it is. Because, for instance, once someone reaches 18, or in some places 21, we basically say you're free to make your own decisions.
Yep.
And I think that's reasonable. I think once you reach a certain age, you should be able to say, you know what, whatever the fuck you want to do, you can go do it. The problem is if you start legalizing things like ice, and meth, and heroin, extremely addictive drugs, kids can get addicted to that at an extremely young age, before they're at the potential to, make rational decisions, and then that's fucked them for the rest of their life, potentially. And you might say, oh, but they can't buy it for themselves or whatever. It's like, you can't buy alcohol. I had alcohol all over the fucking place when I was
I'm interested. Usually the success story when it comes to these drug policies, people quote Portugal. I actually haven't read into Portugal nearly enough to actually know the veracity of that argument, but from what I'm aware is Portugal allows essentially all drugs except for synthetics like crocodile, and takes and taxes and regulates it, and then uses the money for programs for dealing with addicts and things, and apparently has good outcomes. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if it, someone just mentioned crocodile in the chat, but
what is crocodile?
I don't. I tried to smoke marijuana by lighting it on fire in a little bowl of fucking alfoil and sucking at it with a half garden hose. I don't know fucking anything, man. Like, I don't know anything. So
we're out of our depth on drugs here. Can someone in the comments describe what crocodile is?
Okay, so there's usually about a 60-second delay. So in 60 seconds, we'll have an answer to what crocodile is.
All right.
I imagine it's just crazy LSD, is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
But it's an interesting point, because it's essentially one of the things that really made me angry the other day was probably every 3 months we have in Australia the Australian so the ADA, the Australian Doctors Association, putting out. So, for example, in the state of Western Australia, they just legalized the use of the fenced enclosure for mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Which was illegal. Now, interestingly, mixed martial arts was still allowed, but just in a ring. So you could still do MMA, elbows on the floor, knees to the face, standing up, whatever, the submissions, ground and pound. You do whatever you wanted. But you couldn't do it in a cage. That was the only restriction. So this was obviously stupid for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's a piece of safety equipment. It stops people from going outside the cage. It doesn't allow for strict cornering, so someone doesn't get just trapped in a corner and wailed on. You have more open space to move around.
Don't get tangled up in the ropes.
You don't get tangled up in the ropes. There's a number of reasons why that when you have wrestling inside something, a fenced enclosure is just a safer approach. So it's like going, I don't like gridiron, so let's ban their helmets. It didn't make sense to say he did. And when pressed on this, there's the what the hell's the?
I remember
the Premier. That's it. The Premier didn't really have good arguments about it and based it off the gladiatorial image. And it was just lifted, and the Australian Doctors Association put this thing up, going, "Oh, it's the government is being irresponsible," and basically went on about brain damage. And the thing I thought was fucking ridiculous to do with that is MMA already existed. Boxing exists, Muay Thai exists, Taekwondo exists, AFL exists, rugby exists, all these fucking alcohol, all these things exist.
There were more brain injuries and head injuries in AFL and rugby than there are in most combat sports.
Yeah, if you actually take a lot of the data, but frequency of concussion is actually probably higher in sports like gridiron and rugby. But the thing that's worth considering is that it's not the government's place, in my opinion, to say that someone can't ride motocross, for example, because the risk of injury.
Yeah.
It's not their place to take sports like that and say, okay, so there's long chronic issues with this, so we're going to make it illegal. And it was just really weird to have this, the Doctors Association making out like this was a world-changing decision, which doesn't make sense because nothing had changed.
Yeah.
MMA still existed. The incident of brain damage that they were claiming was the exact same before. It's just, I don't remember why I started this. However, I'm going to go to the chat and we're going to see what crocodile is. Crocodile, desmorphine is a derivative of morphine with powerful acting opioid effects such as sedation and analgesia. It's a homemade heroin in the Ukraine. So crocodile probably isn't great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the point I went on to that mixed martial arts
thanks,
place,
thanks guys, by the way, for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. The point I was bringing up that mixed martial arts one is it becomes a discussion of where does the government want to
intervene.
Where does the government, so what liberty do we allow and what liberty do we restrict? So based on the interests of the people. And it's an interesting discussion where you draw the line of where you think the government should start intervening in people's lives.
I think it's an excellent point. For me, I'd go back to what I was saying before about certain types of drugs. Like for me, it's about how much can you affect a person's life in a very short period of time. So, and the risk for me is like if you're a person selling drugs, think about the way tobacco used to be sold, right? Well, the way cigarettes used to be sold before it was regulated, and they used to market it extremely well to both adults and children. They wanted everybody to smoke, and once you became addicted to cigarettes, that was the tobacco companies sorted, right?
Interestingly, McDonald's does a similar approach.
Yeah,
with the way they market to children,
right? So you're if you legalize something, you can count on somebody making profit off it, and unless it's heavily regulated, and maybe that's the approach that Portugal took, and maybe I'd probably need to look into that a bit more to see exactly what strategy they took. But if you took, if you just legalized all drugs and just said, we're gonna control the manufacture of them, so people don't have to buy them on the street. We're gonna tax the shit out of them like cigarettes, so we can take that money and then fund it back into rehab programs and education and things like that, and get people off the drugs. I think that actually sounds like probably the most reasonable approach. But at the same time, like I still worry about it's still going to have an impact on the younger population, because if you
would somebody please think of the children.
But having said that, I've just realized is that kids can still get access to it now. It doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal. The kids can get access to it, and then it fucks up their life. If you make it legal and you tax it and regulate it heavily, you're only going to benefit in the control of it, and you haven't really affected whether or not the kids have access to it that much. Because, if they really want to, people are going to get their hands on it at whatever age. The issue being is can we stop people from selling it to people at a young age, getting them addicted to it and things like that? Because once you turn 18, it's your fucking decision.
Yeah, because to me the most important thing is people making informed decisions.
Yeah.
If you say to someone who's going to start competing in or training in mixed martial arts, and you go, if you take lots of hits to the head, there's a significant risk of brain damage. As long as they understand that risk, I think it's perfectly within someone's rights to then undertake that activity. And I feel similarly with drugs.
Having said that, again, that same principle, can you then allow a 12-year-old to engage in mixed martial arts?
Well, that's actually quite interesting. So in Australia, at least, in all kids combat sports, they're not allowed to take contact to the head at all.
Yeah.
Before, I think it's 14. I think it's 14. It might be 16. Which is interesting because I remember there was this hit piece done by 7 News ages ago about MMA, which was when which was based. So when they were banning the cage, they made this thing going into MMA. And they mentioned the children, and it was the most dishonest thing I've ever seen because it was going, oh, this is brutal. They put children into it. Look here, where a child knocks another kid out with a head kick, and it's this kid kicking another kid in the head, and it's like they're like, oh, this is commonplace. But what I've seen the full video of that, and what immediately happened after, they were like, you little fuck, you're disqualified. Like, it's not legal for the kid to do. The kid just made a mistake and accidentally head kicked another kid. Like,
which could happen in any circumstance, essentially.
Yeah, you definitely. There's a lot of emerging research on concussion right now and what concussion has in terms of brain damage long term. And in my opinion, there shouldn't be contact to the head. It's really hard to say because honestly, you don't want to be taking contact to the head
Ever.
Ever. But at least until your neurological development is mostly finished. But that problem is that's like you can't start contact to the head till you're 25.
At which point you've missed your peak period for performance.
Yeah, exactly. But there's definitely a profound. The effect is greater when it occurs earlier. So if you start fighting earlier, it's going to have a much more profound effect. So. I started taking hits to the head at it's not good now that I think about it. It's not great. It's probably about 15, maybe 16.
Explains a lot.
Hey, fuck you, man.
Like you're talking about significant hits to the head as well.
Well, that's the thing. I started taking hits to the head then, but when I started taking significant hits to the head was probably about 17. That's when I started training with the elite striking class and started doing hard sparring and really getting fucking mashed around and started competing as well. And in the competitions, it was that's when I really started. And I look back at the early combat sports career I had, and I do kind of regret it, though. In a way, I actually had an MRI somewhat recently just to have. I had a full brain check because I've kind of stopped taking hits to the head as much now, and I thought, you know what, this is probably a good idea. The neurologist said it looks fine, but the problem is, it doesn't explain anything then because why am I so retarded?
You're just retarded.
I was waiting for an excuse, but
there's no getting out of it. It's just biology.
I don't even remember how this conversation started.
We're talking about drugs.
Oh, fuck. Drugs?
Because we're talking about...
King Kong makes a point here I actually, before I forget, would like to point out. Brain damage does occur without concussion symptoms, so small knocks to the head even. One of the sports we actually see a huge amount of CTE, so long-term brain damage, is in motocross. Because the bike constantly jolting up and down actually shakes the brain around in the skull. So it's actually, that's one of the things that makes it even worse, is that you don't actually have to be receiving big enough hits to get concussed. You really just have to be getting constantly knocked in the head. Yeah. So, but I'm not going to make combat sports legal.
You're not going to make combat sports legal?
No.
Why?
Why would I make combat? Because freedom. Because as long as people understand, see, I would make it for kids. I would probably, in my opinion at least, make all contact to the head illegal for under 16s. That would,
in a competition sense, I would.
In a competition sense, definitely. You can't really, in terms of training, you
can't control that.
It's a very hard thing to control. But in terms of competition, yeah, definitely, at least. Because knowing the sport so well makes it kind of difficult to go, you should be 25. Because then I wouldn't be able to start, I wouldn't actually be able to have started taking contact to the head yet, which you'd have basically no competitive fighters outside of Australia. But I don't know. It's tough. I forgot where I was going with this, but
we were still on the drugs.
oh yeah.
So
drugs.
if you're talking about whether you legalize something because of the potential damage it can do, that's a good point. Like motocross, motocross is one of the highest rates of brain damage. I'm not sure if that's actually true. If there's significant,
it kind of is. The data is really kind of mixy on it. From what we can see, it is at least on par with contact sports.
Okay.
And just before, Shocking Fire says maybe we should do annual checkups on athletes, but I don't know how hard it is to diagnose concussion without symptoms showing. It's virtually impossible. There's some software used. One is Cogstate, which is it analyzes cognitive responsiveness, and it's used if you're supposed to be able to use it frequently, and it's supposed to monitor concussion symptoms, but it's an incredibly difficult thing to actually monitor properly and effectively.
I think there just has to be an accepted level of risk. I mean, people weren't meant to live without injury.
Well, but that's exactly how I feel, which is as long as you understand the risk, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I think as long as you understand the risk and as long as it's not something ridiculous, like Russian roulette should not be legal with actual guns.
Well, that's because of gun control. If you remove gun control, I think Russian roulette should be.
So what we'll actually do is we'll do Russian roulette, but with knives. Stab yourself in the head.
That doesn't make any sense.
You
have to unsheath a knife, whether the blade's in there or not.
Yeah. There you go.
Well,
So
it's all the handles are the same and all the sheaths are the same length, but each blade is a different length. So you got to stab yourself with a different length, and you don't know which one it is.
oh my god,
it's a good game.
it's actually a great game, but. My feelings on combat sports kind of correlate quite closely to my feelings on drugs, which is I acknowledge there are negative health effects, but that doesn't really. I still think people should have the liberty to engage in things that have negative health effects.
Yeah, I agree with that. My concern remains with regulating it so that children can't become affected by it before they're old enough to make a decision for themselves. So for me, same with combat sports. I think the regulation for competition with to a certain age, I don't think 18 it needs to be regulated. What are you doing?
I just throwing some knives on there.
Why?
I don't know. Thought I'd do that. Look at that.
Because I'm trying to advertise this new game of knife roulette.
I think it's a great idea.
Australian roulette.
That's not a knife. That's a spoon. Oh, see, you've played knifey spoony before.
No, Australian roulette is you run out into the bush and you start picking up rocks, and if there's a snake or a scorpion under it, you get stung, you lose.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good game. we should play it live on camera.
There's not actually that many snakes or rocks on it. If you're ever thinking about coming to Australia, don't. It's not anywhere near as bad as.
It depends where you are though, because like we live in the one state with like the least amount of snakes and spiders and things.
Don't we have? Oh no, we don't.
We do have Jew guides.
We have one of the deadliest snakes in the
Jew
world
guides.
here. Yeah.
Which ironically, when I was in high school, I hung around with English kids because, you know, I go to a different country and hang out with the exact same kind of people for some reason. And we were walking home, and one of my friends sees this snake on the floor, and he's like, "Oh, look, a grass snake!" And runs up to it and starts like chasing it, and it's like zipping away from him. And one of the other guys, with this one Australian guy with us, was like, "It's a fucking Jew guy, you idiot!" And it's like it's fucking. Oh man, I wish he died. That would have been hilarious. That would have been a good meme.
Better story. Yeah. No. Apart from the snakes, the spiders, the sharks,
and the drop bears,
the kangaroos, and the drop bears. That's all you got to worry about.
The fucking drop bears, man.
And the drivers, the shitty drivers.
I don't know. I've been to Bali.
Yeah. True. If you come from an Asian country, you're fine.
That was insane. The first time I went to Bali, and I was just Oh my god, driving around the streets and just all these cars like bumping into each other essentially, and this moped with like 9 people on it. So it was actually impressive. It's like that thing where it's like I'm not even mad. I was impressed that they fit so many people on a. Someone just wrote, "You guys should go on a genocide and kill all the dangerous animals." So here's a nice, interesting fact pertaining to that.
Australia attempted this once.
Australia engaged in a lovely activity where they decided they would try and kill the emus. Oh, and Australia officially has a loss on its war record to emus. It's hilarious. The Emu War. This Emu War took place. Essentially, it was someone trying 1932, I think. Does it say?
Yeah, 32.
1932. So it's
It only lasted a month.
What?
November to December 1930.
Essentially, this Emu War, if you really want something funny to read, you need to fucking read about this Emu War because it's honestly hilarious.
It's the greatest historical fact in Australia's history.
Oh, it's actually so good because they essentially were trying to eradicate these emus because they kept attacking farming areas and eating all their crops. And they got the military and essentially tried to take out the emus, but then they just kept running away. Essentially, was it? They barely could kill any of them. They tried to trap them in a lake and hit them with a fucking machine gun on the back of a truck, and then it jammed. And it's just you could basically just read. You could basically just read through the history of the Emu War and just look at Australia's severe failure.
All you have to do is read the caption on the side. Location, Campion District, Western Australia. Oh, it happened in Western Australia. I didn't actually realize that.
Yeah.
Also known as the Great Emu War. Participants, emus. Sir George Pearce, Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery. The outcome, failure. Emu population persists. This is not a troll. This actually happened.
Emus. The best one is participants. Emus. Like, I love how the emus participated in this war. I remember reading as well that apparently one guy got an honorable discharge during the Emu War because he got trampled by emus. I seriously hope that's true because that would be absolutely hilarious. Oh man.
If you're part of one of our allied nations, so if you're part of the Commonwealth or you live in America, don't ever count on Australia to come and pull you out of any serious conflicts. We will try, but we couldn't even take down emus. So
fucking emus, man. The best bit was where it goes outcome failure. Emus persist.
Emu population persists.
I love Australia so much.
It's the most meme of a country. It's
the Simpsons episode about Australia is the greatest.
It's so accurate. Oh, we've gone so far off tangent now.
It doesn't matter anymore. I'm adding it to the title. I've been adding things to the title as we go.
It's a good idea.
Just so that the title better reflects what we're going on about. So far we have abortion, peer-reviewed drugs, the Great Emu War. The emus won in a war against Australia. I live in a country that lost to emus. It's great.
The wildlife actually rules this country.
We're lucky there's no ostriches here. Those fuckers are really.
I don't. Yeah, no ostriches. We're lucky we live in the west because over east they've got cassowaries.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Which are basically like raptors.
Oh my god.
No, they're basically raptors with feathers.
And we can't even beat emus.
But yeah, imagine an emu-sized bird.
Could you imagine if Jurassic Park took place in Australia?
Emus attack.
We can't even take out emus. Imagine fucking T-Rexes running around. I guess now at least we have.
Steve Irwin could have done it.
Yeah, but he got killed by a stingray, didn't he?
Yeah, he literally wrestled with crocodiles and he got taken out by a stingray.
What's weird as well is he got killed essentially by bad knowledge as well.
Did he?
Well, yeah, because he could have survived if he didn't pull the stinger out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's a bit unfortunate. Did he pull it out? Or someone else pulled it out?
he pulled it out.
Ah.
He got hit in the chest. He then pulled it out. He pulled it out quickly as a reaction, and then that's what killed him.
I think it would have been hard not to like.
You just leave a stinger in your chest. Yeah, it would be hard.
I'm assuming it was still attached to the stingray.
No, I don't think so. I think
Not
it comes. I think it detaches.
Does it? No, surely not.
I don't know.
I don't know about. Stingrays.
You know what? This is why we have a chat. I don't even think the chat's even focused on us anymore. I'm pretty sure they're arguing about smoking.
Okay.
So
It's good reason for us to bring it back to. They missed the Great Emu War.
they're not even here for us. They're literally not even here for us. There's 14 people, which I expected 2. So you know what? Happy days.
I'm happy with 14.
But they're not. I could say anything. Hitler did nothing wrong.
Why? We're gonna get taken down. You put up Jew babies on the on the screen for God knows why.
You know what? To be fair, if you analogize Jews with emus, Hitler did a better job against the Jews than than Australia did against the emus. So I guess if you read, no, we have to write a summary of World War II where it goes participants, Jews, Nazis, and at the end it goes Operation Failure, Jew population still persists.
Jesus Christ.
It would be the greatest meme.
You're only making things worse now. We're gonna get PewDiePied.
You know what? If
They're just gonna mash all of your comments about Jews and Nazis together.
But we're doing a live stream where the most amount of people that came into this live stream at one point was 19. So I don't really think they're going to bother. The only reason they attacked PewDiePie was for views.
Fair point. Let's bring it back to the
I'm gonna look in the. I wonder if we've had it. I wonder if super chats. Nah, I forgot that they were a thing. Actually, the chat is moving slow enough.
Why you don't need super chats when you got 14 people in the chat?
You're right. Actually, Jesus Christ! Oh look, Hitler did nothing wrong. Got their attention. Sieg Heil. I really should stop.
Yeah, I reckon you should stop. Because people actually start to believe that you're a Nazi.
There are people that already believe we're Nazis.
Who?
That haven't even watched our videos. I would bet you any money they would scroll. I bet you. I wonder if Steve Shives has seen one of our videos.
I guarantee we're blocked by Steve Shives.
Well,
Surely.
There's a way to find this out. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see. I don't even know why I'm checking. We're definitely blocked by Steve Shives. Jesus Christ, it's hard to type and talk at the same time. The pressures of being live. So
I'm trying to save this live stream. I want to take us back to the topic that we were.
No, Sieg Heil. Okay, so let's find Steve Shives. Okay, Steve Shives. Why can I not look him up? Oh, there he is. That's not him. Is that him?
Maybe it's a troll account.
No, I'm not. Okay, that's definitely not Steve Shives. That's definitely not Steve Shives. I don't know. I probably can't even find him anymore. Oh, that's the image. Remember I was telling you about that image at lunch? Oh, guys, you're in for a treat. So I just realized I'm talking about things that are happening off screen, which makes this even worse. But it is this image.
This is the image you were talking about.
Yeah. I sometimes experience discrimination. So that's pretty awful. People should discriminate against you. Greatest image of all time. Okay, right. I'll let you say
that was extremely anticlimactic.
I'll let you save the live stream. Go ahead.
Well, it's over now. What I can't remember what topic we were on before we got to emus.
Drugs, I think.
I thought we moved off drugs.
Had we? Let's see. You know what?
The chat will bring us back.
You know what? Here we go. This is the best bit actually about having the chat. The chat's gonna decide the next topic, and I bet you They picked Nazis.
Topic question: did Hitler do anything wrong?
Well, Hitler did loads of things wrong. He had very poor military strategy.
Yeah.
His push against Russia made absolutely no sense when he could have attacked the rest of Russia and then consolidated his forces. Hitler made a lot of very terrible military decisions, dedicating a lot of resources to fucking having these work camps which didn't actually produce anything that was usable. Like a very small percentage of what was produced in work camps could actually be used, like the ammunition and missiles they made, or not missiles, shells. Shells they made. He wasted a lot of resources. Not good. Okay, so I see vegans. Dicks. Someone wants us to talk about dicks. Australian censorship. Vegan dicks. We left drugs so long ago. I didn't have it. ISIS. Alternative medicine. Oh, flat Earth. Flat Earth. Oh no.
There's some good topics in there actually.
What do you? I saw veganism was twice.
Yeah, I think because you wanted to talk about veganism, and I think obviously people are interested. So let's talk about veganism.
So, what do I say about veganism? What do I say about veganism? What do I say?
Okay.
What do I say about
All right.
veganism?
I was alluding to the fact that I've been doing a vegan diet for the last 2 weeks. I'm doing a vegan diet for a month, just to see how it goes.
He's a vegan.
I'm not vegan.
What he did, he came to me and he was like, "You know what? I watched some of Vegan Gains stuff and I thought that's legit."
I thought, you know what? This guy's got some great ideas.
I saw that video where his granddad was dying. It was really persuasive.
No, so I'm eating vegan for a month, just to see how it goes. So far, it's actually pretty good. Like, it's not actually as hard to go vegan, thanks to capitalism and all the vegans that came before. There's plenty of vegan shit out there. And the thing is this, that eating vegan is the most impractical thing if you take out supplements, or if you remove fortified foods. Getting B12s as a vegan is essentially impossible. Like, it naturally
getting a complete protein.
If you want to be paleo and vegan, you're fucked. You're essentially just slowly killing yourself because you cannot get enough B12s in your diet.
Yeah, I'm not as enthusiastic about talking about the health implications of veganism, because we're actually making a video about that right now. About
nutrition in general.
About nutrition and nutrition research and interpreting nutrition research. So I am interested in the ethical implications, because I do have problems with eating meat, in that I really don't want things to die, but I love chili con carne. I love so much food. And also, it's worth noting as well that because I remember you're probably more solid on your position of I eat meat or I'm willing for animals to die.
You're probably more of a vegan candidate than I am.
Yeah, you're right.
In an ethical sense, because I'm doing it for shits and giggles, whereas you probably would do it if you thought about it hard enough, and could actually physically do it.
Yeah, because I'm allergic to eggs and nuts and a lot of legumes, so I really would be fucking.
You would struggle being vegan.
The eggs wouldn't be a huge issue because vegans don't eat eggs for some reason, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it, which gives me a nice convenient excuse to
just keep eating meat.
To keep eating meat. But because I can say this bare minimum, I don't approve of factory farming.
Yeah,
the way that those animals are raised and treated is something I do not approve of.
I think here's the ultimate issue that we face. It is not essential, but it is highly practical for humans to eat meat, and for economically speaking, it's probably extremely impractical for humans to consume meat. So the way we get around it is we factory farm. We can't just have people running about hunting things willy-nilly because one, the animal population can't support the human population. The amount of land that you need to do that is just ridiculous, and you can't have people running around with weapons killing animals en masse. Because it's just it's impractical.
not practical.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, instead of going out to the grocery store, oh honey, I'm going out to catch dinner. Mind you, that probably would take care of the human population pretty quick if we just got rid of factory farming. It just made every man for himself. We just start eating humans. Essentially, what would happen?
So we can solve the overpopulation problem. No, but
and the ethics of factory farming by just stopping factory farming altogether and allowing cannibalism.
as long as you don't eat human neurological tissue, you should be fine.
Yeah, just cook it really thoroughly.
I think I saw someone in the chat claim that vegan is superior health-wise.
It is not.
Yeah, it's almost definitely not.
It is not in. We don't want to get into the health facts because we're going to get into that in one of our coming up videos. Well, not specifically about veganism, but
it's mainly about the issues with nutrition research and nutrition-based claims.
What can you say about it? Yeah,
yeah,
and there are I can say with at least a certain degree.
Oh my Jesus Christ! Someone eat the emus. Genius.
We already do. But usually we have to wait for them to die of natural causes because we can't kill them. In Australia you'll find you don't usually find much emu meat.
It tastes like shit.
You got to go to specialized butchers to get emu meat
because it's crazy chewy.
Yeah, but you can get kangaroo meat in the supermarket. Standard.
Yeah. Kangaroo fuckers.
Kangaroos aren't as evasive as emu is apparently.
Well, kangaroos are retarded.
Turns out when you can't move your legs like individually, your ability to change angles is extremely limited. They get up to pretty high speeds though. Going off topic so fast here. Yes, no. So it is extremely difficult to get all your nutritional needs without supplementation or consuming fortified foods as a vegan. Having said that, I am taking supplements, and I'm finding it actually really easy to be vegan.
Well, it's essentially like going, man, Skyrim is not that difficult when you use the command prompt. Look, I just gave myself Daedric armor.
I'm pretty sure most people in the chat can't relate to Skyrim.
How many people play Skyrim? Look, we got 15 people in the chat. Probably about 5 people active in the chat. Who's played Skyrim? Not currently play Skyrim, because I guess currently is kind of a different fact. I bet you there are. It's people on the internet. I'm on the internet. I play games.
Half the population is on the internet. Probably significantly less than that, actually. But
I guess trying to reconnect. There we go. Reconnection successful. We're back.
All right, back onto veganism. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah.
Oh, by the way, a lot of people have played Skyrim.
Okay, I was wrong.
Someone said Liv was going to play Skyrim when I saw this stream.
Oh,
so we've stopped someone from playing Skyrim.
That the fact that you chose us over Skyrim makes my heart warm. Makes me warm on the inside.
Skyrim is of moderate quality.
Skyrim's awesome.
So we're
back
at least
to veganism. Yeah. didn't we get one sentence back?
Though also a number of people are saying they've never played Skyrim.
Yeah, no, I figured as much. Okay. You can. Thing is, veganism makes sense ethically. That's basically where we're at. If you value the suffering of animals, then veganism makes a whole lot of sense, because if you don't consume animals, we don't need a factory farm. Animals don't suffer as much. Blah 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 blah. Even though obviously the animal population would dwindle, there would be significantly less suffering. Also, probably less greenhouse emissions. Also, I don't actually know the actual stats of this, but I believe there would be significantly less land use without factory farming, because at this point in time, we have to produce crops to feed animals, rather than consuming the crops ourselves. Now, the nutritional value of the crops that we produce is actually really crap. But with all the money and investment that goes into raising animals, things like that, we could actually invest into production of more nutritionally viable crops. For instance, a lot of the reasons you can't get B12s as a vegan is because the soil quality is so crap where a lot of crops are produced, making it essentially a lot of vegetables lacking in really necessary vitamins. So I don't know. I'm trying to build a case for veganism when I don't actually want to be vegan. So it's a weird position to be in, because like ethically I think it makes perfect sense, but at the same time it's completely impractical.
Because it is worth noting, I've heard people make the arguments of factory farming takes up a lot of land and has environmental impacts, but I have seen counter arguments saying that if people went exclusively vegan, it would require such a vast amount of land to pull it off, and it would create similar environmental problems.
Funny thing is, this is interesting point. I used to make that argument when I as soon as I went vegan for this for the last few weeks, I've started to rethink my positions, and it also comes on the fact that I've learned that there's actually ways around that, which are just basically more economical farming. So you can do vertical farming, things like that, which takes up significantly less land. So the more effort you put into farming, like if we did factory farming of vegetables rather than animals, we'd be sorted. You wouldn't have to worry about the land use as much. There's no ethical issues with it. It's significantly cheaper to do. It's almost autonomous. You could have in a few years you could have robots man farms, which that's going to bring up more problems, but lack of jobs and whatnot. But there's ways of getting around that. The land use at this point in time, I'm leaning it towards veganism as being using much less land than factory farming at this point.
Probably.
And as well as like if you want to go to ethical free range farming, that's even worse. Environmentally, obviously not for the animals, but environmentally, free range farming is significantly worse.
One of my things with the environmental argument is though that I don't understand the approach of all or nothing, where it's either you eat meat or you just go balls to wall vegan. Like in terms of health output, people probably should be reducing the amount of meat that they eat. But if you make it so that people are only eating meat 3 to 5 times a week, you're significantly reducing the meat consumption of the entire population, which you're increasing the amount that will be generated through vegan methods, which allows you to use that kind of farming. But then you could also raise the rest of the meat more ethically, because you're not trying to do it for as much. Because that's essentially, I think factory farming exists for the necessity of maximizing profits.
Well,
and meeting the requirements that we have of a huge population, which if the population has less meat, so the population is eating less meat and is going more towards more vegan alternatives, it doesn't, the environmental argument for me doesn't seem as a reason why I should go 100% vegan.
The problem is that right, if humans worked as one cohesive unit, there wouldn't be any problems. All problems would be sorted. The problem is that everybody's a greedy cunt. Every single one of us, and we all want the things that we want, which happens to be things which we don't necessarily need. So if we all just ate if we all ate for nutritional needs, nobody would starve on this planet, 100%. Right?
Not if you distributed the food.
Yeah, if you distributed the food properly, no one would starve.
Those greedy Africans.
Everybody would be significantly more healthy. the amount of meat consumed would be way, way, way less. But the problem is people, people consume meat on, massive quantities. I mean, all you've got to do is look at the crap that comes out in McDonald's or Hungry Jack's and or Burger King or whatever. Things like the burger, which is like 2 pieces of chicken with like a patty on the inside, like, whatever the fuck that was. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ, yeah, that was
an all meat burger essentially, or the chicken parmigiana pizza, which I saw recently.
Chicken parmigiana pizza.
Yeah, the whole base is a chicken parmigiana.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, if that doesn't shout gluttony, I don't know what does. But the point is, people want to eat meat. People enjoy eating meat. We're biologically prone to, because hey, it turns out it's a great source of energy and nutrients. But the problem is if we all just did what we simply needed to survive, there wouldn't be any issues. The problem is that I think this is why people fall so hard one way and or the other, is because it's very hard to be a moderate. It takes energy to be a moderate.
Yeah.
And this is something I found whilst on my diet actually. When I didn't crave any food at all. I found it actually really easy to switch to vegan. I've done strict dieting before, trying to cut down weight. But essentially, as soon as I said no, I'm going to be vegan for this month, I literally just went, oh, I really feel like this. Look at it. I looked at the product, looked at the ingredients, went, nope, that's got milk solids in it or something like that. And I just went 100%, no, not going to eat it. Didn't have any issues because in my mind the switch was yes or no. It wasn't a maybe. There wasn't any gray area. Yeah. As soon as you put the gray area in, which I did a week later, because I ended up eating like half a block of cheese in my fridge like a week or so into my diet, because there was just food in my fridge which I wasn't going to waste. So I was just like, I'm not going to.
You failed at being vegan then.
Yeah, for one meal.
Oh man. Jay, Jay, I wasn't even aware you'd failed. You're not even a real vegan.
I failed twice. I also had a.
I'm gonna tweet at Vegan Gains right now.
I also had a spinach and feta cannellini, so I had feta cheese.
What the fuck?
Because there wasn't any vegan on the menu, so
that's why you ask for it without cheese.
Yeah, but the point. The point, so it's just a spinach cannellini. It's just a piece of pastry stuffed with spinach. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make is when you have gray areas, it becomes harder to make the moderate decision, because that takes energy. It's much easier just to go yes, no, and I think that's why a lot of vegans end up being the way they are, because like you said, it makes perfect sense if you're a vegan to eat eggs. Why wouldn't you eat eggs? Because there's no suffering involved for the chickens, assuming you're eating free range eggs and not factory farmed eggs.
Yeah, chickens just lay eggs.
Yeah, chickens lay eggs. It's not like they're going to lay the eggs one way or the other. They're extremely good for nutrition. So it makes perfect sense to eat the eggs, but a lot of vegans won't, because it comes from an animal. So they go hard line. I won't eat any animal products, which doesn't make any logical sense, other than the fact that they've made that decision for themselves that I don't want to do it.
People are shitting on you, by the way. You're a vegetarian, not vegan.
Well, the point. Well, I can't possibly be vegan if I've eaten meat, can I? I can't be 100% vegan if I've eaten meat once in my life.
I was about to say that, because right now I'm technically vegan. So I'm not currently eating meat.
No, the point is I'm cutting out all animal products from my diet, and for 2 instances, once I ate a block of cheese which had to be eaten, or it was going to go bad. 2, I had a vegetarian option because there was no vegan option. So 2 meals out of.
You should have said no feta. You should have said no feta.
Okay, two things. I'm not the type of person to fuck around with a menu at a restaurant. I think it's a cunty thing to do. 2, if I was going to do that, I would have just asked for spinach in a bowl.
That's That's what you should do.
Just give me dry pasta.
Commit. I have no respect for you now.
All right.
Hashtag J fails.
Should I restart my month again?
No.
No?
Please don't restart your month again. I can't deal with going to fucking Nando's with you and watching you eat what?
Tabbouleh.
What the fuck is that?
It's quinoa and tomato. Some other shit. Anyway, what
Jesus Christ.
what are the comments saying?
If we stopped eating cows and pigs, they would basically go extinct.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But unless if you took the moderate route, no.
But then I don't know whether it's a good defense that things exist so we can kill and eat them, so they get the glory of existence. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I think extinction. Well, I don't like animals going extinct. Animals do go extinct.
I don't give a fuck.
I like.
Also, they're calling you a bitch.
Who's calling me a bitch?
You can't get to the chat, so you can't ban anyone.
I'll
Hashtag J fails. Yes. I'll
fight you with my vegan gains, my lack of gains.
You are looking a bit smaller.
I've lost at least 1.5 kilos.
Your muscle mass is going down.
No, it's not muscle mass.
Your muscle mass. But look at your biceps, buddy. They're a bit smaller.
They're
a bit smaller.
They're
a bit smaller, man.
Stop body shaming.
Have you seen these?
Stop body shaming.
Oh.
Yeah, you got that from the vegetables, not from the meat.
I ate a broccoli once.
No. Honestly, because I haven't been training as much, but this is another point to bring up. You've got nutrition for just general health, and you've got nutrition for athletic performance. My athletic performance 100% was affected by my diet, simply because without the volume of carbohydrates and protein, the recovery is slower. Energy output is significantly for high intensity activity. Energy output is much lower. My muscle glycogen, that's I reckon 9% of the weight I've lost is probably in muscle glycogen and water.
Possibly.
Because I can feel it 100%. First training session after a week of being vegan, 100% no high intensity performance whatsoever. But I can change that with just a few alterations to my diet. So the point is it can be done. It's extremely hard to do. And when you're talking about high levels of athletic performance, small factors play into it to make significant differences. Like I would be surprised if there's many high intensity athletes in the Olympics who could do what they do on a vegan diet, even with high supplementation.
I would be surprised if there was a lot. I know there are some high level competitive athletes that are vegan, but it doesn't, as well, it's worth noting, that doesn't really prove anything.
Well, here's the point: is like you have to be specific about what activity they're doing as well, because you're talking about I'm talking about high intensity athletic performance. I'm not talking about like a hockey player might be able to do really well on a vegan diet. They might be able to perform just as well. Boxer even might be able to do just as well.
I'd be surprised.
It depends. It really depends on how well they control the diet and how much strain they put on their body, essentially.
I actually don't know, but it says it's reconnected successfully. The actual OBS says it's done it, which is probably a good sign. Yeah, it's back.
Okay. Sorry about the dropouts.
Talk about the oil shill fucker on Prager. That's what got me into your channel.
Oh, the fucking what's his name?
Alex Epstein.
Alex Epstein.
Oh no!
Fucking hate Alex Epstein. I remember somebody told me to look into him in one of the comments. I was like, you know what? I haven't actually looked into his background that much. I looked into it, and it's just like it's 100% oil shill. He makes solid points though. Like he only all of his videos, he's arguing against fucking like college kids who have no idea what the fuck talking about. They're just like, oh,
well, he's basically
global warming and shit.
From what I've seen, he's going up to people who are going, we should only have solar and wind power, and going, well, that won't work, and then them going, it's like, well, that's not really. It just seems that the instant response would just be to propose a mixed model approach,
which we exactly what we did in the video. So
I was actually thinking I want to do another top 10 debunks at some point. And I was thinking of doing the top 10 climate change arguments.
I think we definitely should do top 10 climate change.
Jay has been really passionate about this video. He's mentioned it a couple of times. And I've been kind of hesitant to do it purely because...
You don't know where you fall on this?
No. It's not that. It's not that. Like,
is it global warming denier?
Don't deny global warming, you fuck. What I think is the comment section of that video was so much cancer. However...
you think that was cancer, and you were 100% happy to do a flat Earth video.
I insisted that video was made purely out of spite because I thought it would be funny and it would trigger them, and it triggered them so hard. But you know what? I wonder how strongly people will think Prager Institute is almost as good at bad arguments as the Discovery Institute. Well, what I found weird about Prager is there's been a couple of instances where I've watched a Prager video and be like, yeah, it's all right. It's usually the stuff against the SJWs.
Yeah, no, I've done the same.
But it's annoying that the SJWs put me in a world where I have to agree with fucking Prager.
Well, it's the thing is if you've got two retards arguing and one person says a non-retarded statement, it doesn't mean that you like that they're not still retired. They just did something normal for once, and you
it's
go,
Milo
yeah,
Yiannopoulos. It's the love that people had for Milo Yiannopoulos, despite him having horrific debating technique, doing nothing like living on ad hominem fallacies and being like just generally not the kind of public figure you would look at and go, that guy's promoting rational discourse.
Yeah.
But because he was hating on the SJWs, it's like, yeah, this guy's great. And it's like this fucking dude who's promoting Christianity and saying...
hates the gays, even though he's gay.
It's basically a self-hating gay. Like, you look at all that stuff and I've always found it interesting how people will just radiate like around something, will be attracted to something purely based on agreement with a single issue.
Yeah.
But then I look at the existence of single issue voting. The fact that people can win elections based on essentially one issue. Well, the Australian election, not this one, but the one before, Tony Abbott was running against...
Stop the boats.
Yes. He was running against Julia Gillard initially, and then Kevin Rudd when they knifed Julia Gillard like a week before the election and then put Kevin Rudd in there for some reason, which didn't make sense.
Wait, wasn't the reverse?
No. At the end of that election, Julia Gillard was still in power, and then they knifed her, so they took her out and put Kevin Rudd in power for the last week of the election, and then they still lost. It's like, oh, okay. But Tony Abbott ran entirely on the policy where he just said the term "stop the boats" over and over again. Yeah. It was basically all he did was claim that it was just immigration, and that election was a landslide, basically exclusively on fucking immigration policy.
Yes.
Which, considering Australia has some of the lowest refugee intakes out of all the developed nations, because turns out when you have a giant, like illegal refugees at least, turns out when you have a giant fucking ocean around you, it's actually quite hard for refugees to get there. If you're at least you're Europe, like a lot of European countries, completely landlocked, they'll just walk over.
Yeah. Hey, good effort to any refugee that makes it here. Fucking hell. Like, I don't agree with, I don't like the idea of just bring in refugees, but like you said, like the population.
Milo is like a young Jay.
Young Jay. Why? Because he hates the SJWs, or because he's gay.
Yeah, I agree.
Fucking fuck off.
But yeah, single issue voting is probably one of the most frustrating things that I see, because governance is such a fucking complex topic as well, and there's so many facets to governance that it's really weird to me that someone can vote on based on a single issue. But I talk to so many people who are voting on exclusively single issues, and it amazes me. And you know what's weird as well? The single issues almost always don't even get done properly. Like, imagine all the people who voted for Trump exclusively because of the wall. Here we are. Not a good time.
He could still build it. He's got time. He can still do it.
He has essentially no political capital.
Well,
I don't know how he's going to build. Maybe he will, but
I think a lot of it comes down to how much effort people are willing to put into they're the decisions. And a lot of times it really is just, how do I fall on this particular issue? Does this candidate represent my position on this issue? Yes, no, fuck them. And for a lot of people, there might be other issues that they worry about, but really, I reckon every single voter has one issue they put above everything else in their priority list.
Yep.
And if the candidate ticks that box and the other one doesn't, that's basically it. They could basically shit all over the other issues that they care about, but if they tick the highest priority one, they'll probably go, this is still my best option. And that's really the reality of the situation, is what is my best option.
I have an interesting idea. Something we could do together, and also one of the advantages of having a live stream, I could actually look at the chat and pay attention to them. What would you say if you had to rank your most important political issues that judge how you're going to vote? Say you could give a top 3. You don't have to put them in any particular order. You can if you want.
Top 3 issues that I care about.
Yep.
It'd be science funding, not necessarily as top. At this point in time, probably immigration's pretty high.
Okay. What are your preferable immigration approaches? The wall. The wall around Australia. Fuck them all to death.
I think you just got to be really strict. Like it's perfectly fine. I mean, the thing about immigration is, like, I don't have any hard solutions to it. If as a voting point, I'd be looking for someone who doesn't also have any fucking hard solutions to it. Who's going to say, like, someone who's willing to stand up and say, this is a fucking complicated issue, and we're not just going to ship people off to an island and leave them there to rape and pillage each other. And also isn't just going to be like, hey, you know what? Everybody should come to Australia. Everybody gets a visa.
Yeah.
Because if you
just look at Europe and cringe, essentially.
Yeah, that's probably why it's at the moment it's on my one of my top 3, because of all the shit that's going on in Europe, especially all like the terror threats and stuff. What else is there?
My 3 would probably be science funding. Would definitely be in there. Science. I would say
innovation's a big one.
Yeah, exactly. I would say innovation. I would also say healthcare is a big one for me.
Yeah,
I do feel quite strongly about the availability of healthcare.
I don't feel like I'm thinking from like our current state of government perspective, because I don't think our healthcare is changing significantly at any point. Not at this point in time anyway. So like unless there was a threat to the healthcare, it's not really an issue for me at this point, because I'm happy with it.
A primary one for me. There is an issue which I could possibly become a single issue voter on.
What's that?
Which is money in politics. If somebody ran on the policy of, I'm going to remove all money from politics. So, because in Australia, it's weird, like when the mining tax was repealed, for example, Joe Hockey, the treasurer at the time, Gina Reinhardt, one of the big mining owners in Australia, gave his wife 4 houses, 4 real estate properties. What? And they claimed it was because they were buds. It's like, yeah, they're just buds. That's what they do. It was a really obvious instance of corruption where they'd done this in exchange for, well, they probably hadn't been directly promised the specific, let's say, 4 houses, but they would have been promised rewards. In my opinion, if you become a politician, you should be paid well, and you should essentially forfeit a degree of your financial privacy, where your income should be, and like your tax returns, for example, should be very closely monitored.
Yeah. And
if you have income you can't explain, you're going to have serious problems, because governance, it's funny, because things we can't do because of tax, things we can't do because of, say we don't have the tax funding for, if you remove corruption, you would increase efficiency by such huge amounts that it would be, at least for me, I think it would be a very important issue. And I think a lot of things that happen right now that the public aren't getting well represented. And I think a huge portion of that is the influence of money in politics, which now that I think about it, I'm starting to sound like the Young Turks by just saying money in politics a lot, which makes me feel like I have to say something.
Don't reduce the Young Turks to sound bites. They've got so many good ideas.
I have to say something.
No, they don't.
I have to say
They
something.
don't.
I have to say something that the Young Turks wouldn't say, just so I can balance it out. The Armenian genocide actually happened. There you go, problem solved. Okay, so I'm going to look in the chat. Here we go. Oh, hello, Professor Stick. People are not happy that we did not notice him. Hello.
Professor Stick.
Yes, he is in the chat. Hello. Number 1, climate change. Number 2, science funding. And number 3, education/healthcare.
Yeah, that's
fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair one. I probably wouldn't put climate change in my top 3, ironically. Well, not ironically, but unusually. It would be close. But because I think as well, if you remove money from politics, you actually would have a positive effect on the environment as just consequence of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things which are negatively influencing politics are doing it. They're companies that have negative impacts. Like if you look at the mining industry in Australia and the control it has, economics, immigration. I would increase funding on assimilation programs. Yeah. I don't like the word assimilation. It sounds questionable, but I do agree. I think letting people know that when they enter a country, there's values in this country that have to be upheld. And that, for example, you turn up in Australia, it's like, okay, welcome to Australia. Women are equal here. If you don't feel that women should have the right to drive or wear what they want on the streets, well, you can go back to that exploding shithole you came from. Like, I don't give a fuck. But,
yeah.
So only public funding on campaigns, yeah, essentially. Oh, someone said the Cenk Uygur thing, money in politics. That's hilarious. There you go.
Yeah, no, I think money, like I said, money in politics is actually a pretty good one because I think it's a good point you made. Like, climate change or environmental regulation is probably a big one. But if you control for things like if the regulations for emissions are already there, and you regulate things like money in politics, so you remove that corruption, the mining industry, which one of the biggest polluters, doesn't have the power to sway the government as much.
Yeah, exactly.
So then you've got then they have to conform to the regulations.
Because I think making governance exclusively public funded would just have a lot of repercussions that would almost all be positive. And it would just increase the efficiency of government and how it represents people too. Like, especially if we look at the American system, the amount of money that Hillary Clinton raised from large donors, which are obviously rich companies, is just it's baffling to me that someone could go, oh, look at all this money I've been given by, say, pharmaceutical companies, and then be like, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything when I get in office. I'm not going to be doing them favors. It's like, well, what the fuck? How stupid do you think we are?
Yeah.
So that would be one of my high priorities, purely because once that is resolved, money in politics, every other issue I think becomes easier to actually deal with. I think the government, because it would just increase governing efficiency, which would be lovely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the key components are already in place. They just don't get. I mean, the corruption obviously has a massive effect on how well things get applied.
Topic: Internet as a public utility.
As a public utility. As in,
I envision that would mean things like, for example, YouTube doesn't have the legal obligation to actually maintain the integrity of free speech. YouTube could change its name tomorrow to SJW Tube and exclusively have Steve Shive videos. Is the entire website is just a 24/7 Steve Shive's live stream. It could do it. And I do find this interesting because the balance between the freedom that private companies should have versus what morals they should uphold is, I think it's a very hard thing to legislate for. I think, in my opinion, they have a responsibility. So, for example, social media platforms to maintain the spirit of free speech, but I don't know whether you really could, or whether I would legislate that.
I think it might also refer to the restrictions placed on the internet, such as firewalls and things like that, and what sites are blocked and whatnot. In which case, I think the internet should be just completely open and free, 100%. And as individual companies on the internet should just be free to do whatever the fuck they want, essentially.
Because net neutrality was another issue that has been knocking around recently, which, from my understanding of net neutrality, is that it basically allows the control of bandwidth, so that they can actually sell bandwidth speed and bandwidth quality to different companies. So you could go to Google, for example, pay money to get the good internet, and then all the smaller companies would be shuffled to shitty internet. So, and this was a thing that currently there's a net neutrality that basically prevents that from happening. But I know it was rejected once in the USA. They tried to get rid of it, but then I know it failed once. I'm not sure if it failed a second time, but that's because YouTube has a big monopoly on video streaming. Only other sites with videos are 18 plus, if you know what I'm saying. So here's what we do. TRC is leaving YouTube to Pornhub.
Do they do live streaming on Pornhub? We have to set up one of those webcam things.
Oh, you know what?
It's going to be pay to view, unfortunately.
Here's the thing, though. I'm anonymous so far, and I could just get my dick out on camera, and it could just be there, so it qualifies as porn, and then we could just chat.
Does Pornhub even care?
Yeah, I think they take down non-porn videos.
Oh, it's like the opposite of YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, there was a video that was good.
So basically, we get a webcam, just point it at our crutches, and just come in pantsless, and then we just talk shit.
Yeah, because it's technically nudity, it's technically porn.
If someone's getting off to it, just write a comment saying you're getting off to it, and then we're fine for Pornhub.
Man, I could just standing there with my dicks out. So, money in politics.
You know what'd be best is we get little ties made up for like our caricatures and just put them on our dicks.
Oh no!
It turned weird pretty quick, didn't it?
Oh no! Oh dear! And you're saying my Hitler did nothing wrong was unacceptable.
Well, I think we've said a lot about inappropriate things on this podcast, but who gives a fuck?
I feel like we might not be able to have such a comfortable conversation if we're both standing there with our dicks out.
I think for the first 20 minutes it'll be awkward as fuck, and then we'll just get into
it. Someone came up with a title: "Two Young Guys Smash Ideologies." Oh, that's hot. Oh, that's good. We should do that. Actually, you know what?
I'm not doing a naked podcast.
Well, I'm not talking about getting my dick out. I'm talking about seeing if I can put stuff up on Pornhub.
Oh. Yeah, that's where it starts, though. It starts with, I'm just going to see if I can put something on Pornhub. Next thing I know, you're coming in with like a shirt with the nipples cut out. Next thing,
those shirts always weird me out so much. Just take your fucking shirt off.
You know what the socially acceptable equivalent of that is the fucking spaghetti string singlets that bodybuilders wear.
I'm gonna get a picture of this if people don't know what it is.
I'm sure everybody. I suppose if people don't go to the gym, they might not know. But I'm sure somebody's seen those ridiculously small tank tops the bodybuilders wear.
Oh, it's totally what? It's only coming up for. Nah, it's not spaghetti enough.
It's not spaghetti enough.
I'll type bodybuilder so I can get a better one. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, Why the fuck would you ever wear one of these? Now, let's be real here. Why the fuck would you ever wear this? What the fuck?
Because you want to show off your gains. That's why you wear it. Because you want to be allowed into places which require shirts, but you don't actually want to wear a shirt. That's why you wear that.
I think we just lost the stream.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, it's back. It's fine.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they just cut out everything up to the point and now it's just this picture of a bodybuilder on?
I want someone to enter the stream now and just see this and be like, oh no.
The perfect timing would have been when we were talking about having our dicks out on doing a podcast
on Pornhub.
Yeah.
But yeah, so why does this singlet exist? What the fuck, guys? You can have a singlet that's higher up and still show off your gains.
No, because you can't see the lines of his pecs as well.
Jesus
you can't
Christ.
see. I don't know.
Well, you'll never need one of these being vegan. Once all your gains are gone, it'll all be fine. It'll all be over.
I never had gains to begin with.
Oh man, oh I'm loving this. We've had someone H37. God, he's been here the whole time. Good job. Good job.
Good work.
We've been going 2 hours and 10 minutes. Would you do a video podcast? Well, I guess we already said we would of our dicks.
I've got nothing wrong. I've got no problems with actually doing a video podcast. Only the fact that I'd lose my anonymity, which I kind of value.
Yeah,
the only reason I value my anonymity.
He might mean video podcast by watching videos on the podcast, similar to Drunken Peasant style. It's hard to know, but let's assume it's a video where we appear, a podcast where we appear on video until we're told otherwise.
Yeah,
my anonymity is too valuable.
Yeah, it's just far too convenient to maintain anonymity versus just. I mean, I honestly don't think you gain much from seeing our faces.
I was gonna say you could do a video podcast of just our necks down.
Have you seen what 4chan does? They will find even if we wiped the entire room, they would find something they would look at the tan lines on your arm and say, and then pinpoint it to a Facebook picture and be like, yep, that's him. We've got him. And then bang, doxed. 4chan just doxed you. That's how fucking autistic they are. Assuming someone from 4chan actually gave a fuck about this channel.
It worries me because if 4chan really wanted to, they could dox us quite easily, I imagine.
I'm sure if somebody really, really wanted to, they could. But if we show our faces, we're
making it very easy.
We've just doxed ourselves, and I don't see the point in us just showing unless we're wearing singlets like that. I don't see the point in wearing in us doing a neck down.
Because Joe Rogan does
podcast.
it. He does obviously he has himself on, and it does add something to the conversation when you can see people's faces and their.
I think it's much more natural to listen to someone and engage in the conversation when you can see the person talking.
Yeah, and I really would, but the problem is, especially myself, I'm working in a field where the social justice warriors have an extreme amount of sway.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've had people in the flat Earth video be like, "Oh, you cowards, not showing your identities," and I've said to one of them, I would happily pin my identity to this video. I don't care. It's not going to damage me to be saying that the Earth isn't flat, but the criticisms of social justice is something that would destroy my ability to, would destroy my ability to actually
work in your field.
Work in my field, yeah. So,
yeah, no, I kind of just like having anonymity.
Yeah, you have no good reason for
because
it.
Because I can just say things and get away with it. Like Hitler did nothing wrong.
I feel like no one would care if you did it anyway.
Actually, we would probably get more fans, to be honest. if we went hardline, if we went extreme right or extreme left, either way, I reckon we'd get shitloads of subs just because.
Centrism isn't attractive.
It takes hard work. It takes fucking energy to think.
It takes energy to be like, sometimes this is wrong, sometimes this is right. I have to approach situations and make effort to decide which situations.
Well,
should
like
be
like
which
think
way.
think about the argument we made about abortion, right? We're approaching it from different angles and contemplating different perspectives, even ones that don't fit with our own perspectives on it. Whereas people who fall either way basically just have one argument where they just go, bang, this is what I think. You know, you're killing babies. Abortion is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot more complicated than that, and people aren't willing to admit it in a lot of cases.
I don't admit it. Abortion is killing babies.
Oh, there you go.
We've resolved this problem. Oh, man. We are trucking along. We'll probably bring this to a closure in maybe 10 minutes.
I need to pee. I've been holding it for.
Go pee.
You're gonna.
I'm going to talk to the chat.
All right. I'm gonna come back, and there's gonna be like 50 comments saying Jay's a cuck.
Yeah. You don't know what I'm going to do, but go on, go pee. Go pee. Go, get out of here. Get out of here. See you later. Goodbye. Bye. Get out of here. Okay, so Jay's gone, which is great. It's good for the channel. I think Jay's really been holding this channel back recently. His veganism is too much. His veganism is just too much. I can't handle it. I can't go to Nando's and have some dude eating quinoa and grass. It's just too stressful. Jay's a cuck. Fantastic. The chat is starting to agree. Oh, happy days. Happy days. So, yeah, with our uploading schedule, I'd probably do this now. We're hoping to try and get on top of it and stick to once every two. Hey, Aaron Cognition. Jay is a quality chap. Unacceptable. Jay is a piece of shit. If I see anybody saying anything positive about Jay in the comments, you're banned. I've decided this is the way I'm doing this. I can't. So oh god, it's coming back. Don't worry, guys. It'll be fine. I'll try and maintain the integrity of this channel whilst the vegan is around. But yeah, I've enjoyed doing this live stream actually. I enjoy looking at the chat and seeing people say that they're going to dox us. Someone's going to dox us. We're going to get doxed, man.
I'm back. And was that someone's going to dox us?
Yeah. Well, someone said you were a cuck, and then someone said you were a quality chap. So I told them I'm going to ban them. Who said I was a quality chap? Hashtag R becomes Steve Shives. R becomes Shives.
He's one step away from Steve Shives anyway.
Steve Shives is great.
You're the only one who's banned someone from this channel.
I've banned 8 people, I think.
Fuck, 8.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope, my friend.
My exclusive banning has come from people who have just been spamming links in the comments.
Oh yeah.
They're the only people I ban. Like there was someone who was, for example, one of them was on the chemtrails video and was just spamming things to a website that sold homeopathic cures to chemtrail diseases or so. It was basically saying take this to cancel the effects of chemtrails, and it was just scam website. So I just wasn't willing to.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
People are defending you.
Oh, thanks, guys.
This is unacceptable. What the fuck?
It's because you're always ripping into me. The people feel bad.
No, I'm educating them on how much of a piece of shit you are. So, let's do this. I've just realized we have the opportunity to do this with a live chat.
What's that?
Bear versus wolves.
Oh.
So what would you rather fight to the death? What do we do? It's a bear or is it 3 wolves?
It's a bear versus 3 wolves. Was it? Yeah, bear versus 3 wolves.
Well, not the bear versus 3 wolves. It's you versus a bear or you versus 3 wolves.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What would you rather?
Yeah.
Where do you go again? Where do you fall?
I can't even remember. I think I said the wolves, but
what do you say now?
I did recently see a video of a dude getting attacked by a bear and he survived.
No. But in this scenario, the animals want to kill you. They're not just like fucking with you.
I actually reckon the bear.
You think you got a better chance?
I reckon
or
the
you
bear.
just die quicker?
Wait. Do I have to kill them? Kill them? Is it fight? Is it fight to the death, or do I have to? I just have to survive.
Fight to the death.
Probably. Yeah, probably the wolves, because I don't even think I could kill a bear. How do you kill a bear with your bare hands? With your bare hands?
What kind of bear? Let's say a black bear.
A black bear's fair, yeah.
You could punch it.
You can't punch. You can't punch. I remember seeing a comment on one video. I can't remember what it was, but someone said you could punch a gorilla to death. I was just like, a gorilla's got a smaller head than a bear. Probably sturdier, to be fair.
It's a gorilla.
You couldn't punch a chimpanzee to death. unless you're Conor McGregor. Who's going to beat Floyd Mayweather? No, he's not. He's going to get his ass kicked. But
I don't even think McGregor's going to get his ass kicked. I think he's just
slight variation of the question: fight Conor McGregor or fight Floyd Mayweather to the death?
What?
No rules.
Oh, Floyd Mayweather. I'm extremely confident I could beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight if I'm allowed to use full skill sets. I'm an accomplished grappler. All I have to do is get him to the floor and it's game over. But if it's boxing, it's basically just going to be if it's going to be boxing, it would be similar to what's going to happen to the McGregor fight. It's just going to be me airballing for fucking 12 rounds straight, maybe landing one body shot and then losing on points. So chances are, actually, I'd probably get knocked out. Not even by getting KO'd, but by getting so tired because I'm not in that great shape right now to do 12 rounds. That I feel like about round 8, I'd be so tired that he'd just start unloading and I'd take enough body shots and go down, which is depressing.
12 rounds is pretty fucking hard. 12 rounds with wolves. How would you go with 12 rounds with wolves?
Wait, so can I just survive the 12 rounds?
No.
Is there a decision?
I'm going back to the question. Like, you've got to kill 3 wolves.
Oh, we just lost the stream
again.
Yeah, I lost the stream.
Is that just internet connection?
Yeah, what I'll do next time is I'll set it up to it's back anyway. I'll set it up to a solid Ethernet instead of the Wi-Fi. Probably streaming over Wi-Fi is probably irresponsible.
You can see how much effort we put into this planning of the live stream.
That's great.
Yeah.
But so I've got to kill the wolves, but now there's rounds. What?
There's no rounds. You just got to kill the wolves.
I would probably pick the wolves because I can kill a wolf. I can't kill a bear. I don't think I'm going to kill the wolves, but there's a good chance that I could kill a wolf. So at least I have the potential to damage them. I don't really have the potential to damage a bear. What am I going to do? Punch it in the head? I'd almost immediately break my fist.
Front flip axe kick to the bear. One hit straight down the top of the skull. Dead. Instant death. Just Chuck Norris the bear.
What would you rather? Fight 10 bears or an emu? You got to remember, you were born in... You're Australian.
I'm like...
It's in your blood.
Like 8th, 9th generation Australian. What my great-grandfather might have fought in the Emu War.
Wow.
That's actually legitimately might have happened. I should probably look that up.
You need to find out. If he was in the Emu War, it's going to be great.
That's amazing.
Oh, I think my great-granddad was in World War II. He killed Turkish people. I know that. All I know is he killed Turkish people and he was in the military. Whether they
was on the German side.
Whether they happened at the same time is a totally different question. Maybe he killed Turkish people in separate occasions and then joined the military.
Okay.
Okay, so punching the bear in the nose is exactly what you do, or hit the bear's genitals.
Genitals. Problem is, it's not going to die.
It's not going to die from getting hit in the balls.
Okay. Could you break the bear's will to live, and then just slowly choke it out? Could you stick your arm so far down its throat that it chokes to death?
Your fist
before it mauls you.
You realize it'd probably just bite your arm off.
It probably would, like, if you get your whole arm into its mouth. This is why gains are important. So if your bicep is so big that it can't close its jaw around it, You just choke it out.
It's an interesting strategy. It's war by attrition, essentially. It's like I'm gonna start bleeding to death, and you're gonna choke to death, and we're gonna see who dies first.
To be fair, I think you couldn't escape the bear mauling you at that point. So
I think wolves is the only way to go. Now, bear and wolves, you get a sword.
Bear, 100% bear.
You reckon?
Because I reckon after watching a couple of videos with bears, I reckon sword, a decent sword, take out a bear pretty easy.
You get a katana or a hand and a half.
Or hand and a half.
It's more versatile. Okay, so
Or mind you, or yeah, I don't know about that one. I think either would be fine.
Geralt of Rivia kills bears all the time, and he's got a long sword, so
He's also a mutant and a fantasy character.
Apparently, so H37 saying in the chat that that's how you're supposed to defend against dogs. You fist fuck their throats. No kidding.
Yeah, well, they can't they can't bite down, but the problem is a canine's jaw is significantly smaller to a bear's. Mind you, a bear, it wouldn't be big enough to get, like, you could probably get your forearm down its throat, like up to the elbow, and it probably wouldn't be able to close its mouth.
If you give me a sword, I'd probably take the bear as well, because it's a singular opponent, and I at least feel I'd have some kind of lateral mobility on the bear, whereas the wolves, one wolf I'd fuck up. I'd just fucking hack that shit to bitches. But like, when there's multiple ones, they're gonna fucking surround me, and it's gonna become really hard to deal with them all at once. Like imagine playing Assassin's Creed, but everybody attacks you at once instead of politely waiting one at a time to fight you. Like, so I feel like with a sword, the bear becomes the best answer. With bare hands, I think the wolf's the best one.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, thrust your arm down the bear's throat and turn it inside out. That is
just pull out its organs.
That is some insane gains. You just shove it in and rip it inside out. Silverback or bear?
Ooh. I feel I would probably want to fight a bear over a silverback, to be honest. Silverbacks scare the shit out of me.
Silverbacks are horrifying.
It's basically like if you were in prison, right? With another man, but the other man was jacked up on roids since birth, and has been infected with rabies, so he's extremely aggressive. And also has insane, unnatural bone density.
His skull's evolved to take hits as well. His like fucking brow curls over so it protects his eyes. Oh man,
I do not want to fight a silverback.
The silverback would just fucking punch you to death as well.
I reckon it legitimately, if it just gripped you, you'd be dead. Like it would at that point in time, there's no escaping it. I've seen orangutans hold people hostage, simply just by grabbing their wrists and not letting go, and the people just can't get the orangutans off. The orangutan could like pull your arm like pretty much off if it wanted to, and they're not anywhere near as big as silverbacks.
Silverback or bear, but you get a sword.
Bear.
Problem is the agility is kind of gone when it comes to silverbacks. They're fucking quick as well.
Yeah.
And also, like, I really worry that I'd swing at it and it just go and, like, flail its arms around and just knock the sword out of my hand. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah. I do not want to fight a silverback in any circumstance.
Okay. I can change that. A silverback, you get a sword, or 6 wolves.
Ooh. I think I'd go with the wolves, for sure.
What?
Yeah, because you can fend off like a sword against a wolf is a pretty effective weapon. You just take out 6 of them. Do you start off in the center where we're surrounded by them? because that's a different story.
Okay, here's the terms of all these fights. You're dropped into the Colosseum. You're just dropped into the Colosseum, and they're just dropped in at the other side of the Colosseum.
Yeah, no, I'd fight the wolves.
But there's nothing stopping them from surrounding you.
Yeah, but I can still move. Wolves don't want to die. Wolves will you can intimidate a wolf. I don't know if you can intimidate a silverback.
That's good. That's a good point.
And I honestly question how hard it would be to kill a silverback that's attacking you with a sword when you've got a sword. It would be like it could be done for sure, but
it would be very difficult because you couldn't. I don't know whether you could just swing at its head because its skull is ridiculously thick. There's a chance you get it stuck in its fucking skull and it'd still be fucking coming after you.
I think you'd have to stab it, but
yeah, you'd have to slice it up real good. But the wolves, I'd probably take the silverback though. Because the wolf, man, I'm gonna swing at one, and the other one's gonna jump at my neck, and I'm gonna be dead. How do you manage 6? You've done group combat before.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to manage 6 people?
Two people is near impossible. two people who know what they're doing in group combat, you're fucked. 100%. Unless you can take out one within the first 5 to 10 seconds, you're fucked. But mind you, like if you group people with group combat with people who have no idea what they're doing, you can fight as many as you want because it's all dependent on how retarded they are.
How retarded?
Yeah, it's basically just an exercise and cardio at that point. It's it's. I mean, imagine fighting. All right, so the difference is like, would you fighting Conor McGregor in a ring? Or fighting 3 homeless people in the street.
So I'm fighting Conor McGregor in a cage. Is it MMA rules? I've got to beat him in an MMA fight, or fight 3 people
on the
3
street.
Homeless guys on the street with no rules,
Yeah.
or is it 3 homeless people in an MMA fight?
3. Let's keep it consistent. 3 homeless people in an MMA fight.
So they can't curb stomp me. I guess they can. I feel like I'd rather fight the 3 homeless people to the death rather than MMA rules. MMA rules are kind of restrictive to most of the things you would do in group combat.
Here's the thing, though. None of them have combat training.
How homeless? How homeless are they?
Are they malnutrition?
Yeah, that's my question. How long have they been homeless? Because what if it's like some kid who's like a competitive fighter, but he's down on his luck because he's lost his last couple of matches and now he's homeless. That's different to fucking old.
They're all war vets.
So
that's the most realistic scenario. They're all war vets.
It's horrible.
All above the age of 45.
I'd probably do the homeless people because I feel like I'd probably be able to put at least one of them out with a single shot pretty quickly.
That's exactly the point, and that's why I'd fight the wolves because you've got a sword. It's one strike, so the wolf's not coming back.
Someone in the chat, I fought homeless people before I'd take the homeless.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh, I hope that's true.
Why would you?
It's funnier if it's true.
Oh my God! I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to end it.
If you guys stuck with us through all of that at the end there,
yeah, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I've enjoyed doing this actually. I think it's been. I think doing it live has added to it as well. I just have a bit of interaction with the lovely people in our chat.
Yeah, I enjoyed just having somebody to engage with other than you.
Hey,
not that there's anything wrong with.
I am kind of mad that everybody defended you though.
I feel overwhelmed with love.
Fuck you. Someone here in before Wikipedia states in the Great Emu War, Jay was the latest victim to rights in the rising emu race. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I really have enjoyed doing this. I'm going to have to work out now actually how to end this stream, so that's going to be savage. Okay, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I would say subscribe, but I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching live at least will have already subscribed. But if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure to like this video and share it around.
If you're not subscribed, go check out our other videos, because this this is probably not the one. If this one got you to subscribe, then well, awesome. But our actual videos are probably more likely to get you to subscribe. So go check them out if you're not already subscribed to us.
If this is the kind of thing you want to see us do more often, let us know. It's something, because it's actually quite easy to do.
It's really enjoyable for us. It's like we like, especially when we're talking about specific topics and we can get some feedback from you guys. This is a really engaging format for us, rather than just Ara and myself talking back and forth.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed it, just let us know and we'll pump out more of these.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye. It's actually still going because I don't know how to shut it off. All right. Goodbye, everybody.